It is now 4th of January, the 4th day of the new year, and here is the news. So let's get started. We're starting with this fair, as I'm getting the first one up. Potentially could be. Theresa May says sorry over NHS winter crisis. Black cab rapist John Warboy is to be freed from jail. Now he's thought to be one of the UK's most prolific rapists. Now he is believed to have carried out more than 100 rapes, sexual assault on women in London between 2002 and 2008. He's now age 60 and he gave his victims drug-laced champagne before attacking them in the back of his cab. In 2009 he was convicted at Croydon Crown Court of 19 offences and ordered to serve at least 8 years in jail. The following year, police said a number of women had come forward and that the suspected number of his victims now numbered more than 100. He was a former stripper from Rotherhithe in South London and has spent 10 years in custody, including a period of remand. After hearing about his case in November, the parole board decided to approve his release for stringent licence conditions. He'll have to report to probation staff every week and is barred from contacting any of his victims. Faye Max Taylor, the CEO of the Survivors Trust, said Warboy's release was very frightening and worrying for his victims. She said he's served his sentence and will be on a stringent licence, but for his victims there will be no parole, there is no let-off for what he has done to them. When you're raped or sexually assaulted in this way, there is no way to recover, especially when the attacks were so deliberate and calculated. One of his victims told the BBC News that she was unaware of his parole hearing had been successful and he was due to be let out. Harriet Wistrich, a lawyer who represented 2 of his victims, said neither woman had received a letter to inform them that the convicted rapist would be released. At least give some warning to them. Now, that same lawyer criticised the original sentence as being too short, saying it was just 1 month per sexual assault. next one's about McDonald's. McDonald's staff cry victory as final reacts. As it finally reacts, the strike is workers' biggest raise in 10 years. McDonald's UK has pledged to give its employees the biggest pay rise in 10 years. And the move comes into force on January the 22nd and is banned by position, region and age. Company-owned McDonald's restaurants are affected. And it's only by 0.001%, so no it isn't. The employee who falls into the 21 to 24 category and has asked to remain anonymous said in a private Facebook post, "We won this biggest pay rise for 10 years. If 0.001% going on strike can win this image, what more can we do?" It took the strike to Parliament. That's the end of that, as there's not much more I can say. Give me a moment as my phone's having one of those moments. Come on. This next one is coming from CNN. Can a commune revival fix London housing crisis? The iconic Georgian houses rank among the British capital's most desirable and expensive, with prices reaching $10 million. Local residents include movie stars Colin Firth and Emma Watson. But just off a main street, tucked away among the stylish facades, is a parallel universe. While the borough shot upmarket, one of London's oldest communes has never strayed far from the vision of Francine monk Greg Moore, who founded Islington Park Street community in 1976 as a refuge for the vulnerable and low-paid. 18 housemates, aged 19 to 79, share 4 grand old houses with the partitions removed. They also share responsibilities and resources, each paying $43 a week for food and bills, which has allowed them to survive in this elite neighbourhood for over 4 decades. Places are allocated according to need, and applicants are filtered to maintain a balance of age, gender, ethnicity, sexuality and support needs, accommodating people that need care and others that can provide it. The community includes a victim of domestic abuse, an ex-prisoner, and people suffering with mental illnesses. Many have struggled to access social services outside, which are facing government cuts. This is a place to have a sense of safety and support, says Grace. People here have experienced the opposite. The arrangement may seem more a throwback to the idealism of the swinging 60s. London was a modern metropolis with a surging skyline of high luxury high-rise towers. Anyway, sounds like a good idea. The next one is about what was supposed to be about Star Wars, but an error occurred and now I can't find it. And once again, Donald Trump is in the news. Steve Bannon calls 2016 Trump Tower meeting treacherous in new book excerpt. Bannon calls Trump a great man and brushes off uproar over tell-all book. Now he's a former White House strategist and is brushing off an uproar over a tell-all book about the White House calling President Trump a great man and saying he supports him day in, day out. And he's basically saying to Trump supporters should focus on the president's agenda and not let the left-wing media stir battle. Now, Bannon is an hardline advocate of immigration and trade policies that dominated Trump's campaign message. At the time, Bannon vowed to fight for Trump's populist message from outside the White House through Breitbart News. He says that nothing will ever come between us, and President Trump and his agenda. He said, adding that we're as tight on this agenda as we've ever been. God damn it, Trump. Right, let's now go on to Twitter, as I'm hoping it is a little bit better. Now starting with UK news. Abscond prisoner jailed after Hampshire police pursuit. Now Ranger has had his contract terminated for Southend. Another chapter, which they put it as another chapter in his controversial career. 5 years since Malala Yousafzai was released from hospital in Birmingham after being shot in the head by Taliban for going to school. Since then, she's won the Nobel Peace Prize and started studying at Oxford. Over 1 in 8 patients rushed to hospital in an ambulance this winter faced a delay of over 30 minutes on arrival, as BBC analysis shows. Turning much colder with a bitterly cold wind changing and a chance of snow showers in places. There's also going to be a turn of overnight frost apparently. Grenfell Tower police ask for $38 million to fund investigation. Coleman's Mustard to close Norwich factory where it has been based since 1858. Rowers Lily Cole made patron of Bronte Society. Donald Trump's lawyers seek to stop the release of book containing explosive insight into his presidency. At least let his presidency finish before you publish a book containing insight into his presidency. Maidenhead Cemetery deaf driver sentence. 95, what? How are you still driving at 95? Homebrew fans panic before recipe change. Influenza activity continues to increase across all surveillance indicators with notable increases of respiratory outbreaks and influenza confirmed hospitalizations. Manchester United manager Jose Mourinho has described reports he wants to quit the club at the end of the season as garbage. Winter Council criticised over begging crackdown call. Met Office has asked Home Office to pay for its investigations into Grenfell Tower fire for submitting £11.11 million claims to cover overtime and extra costs in 2017-2018 and will request $27 million in the next financial year for entire costs of investigation. Waitrose bans sale of high caffeine energy drinks to under 16s. Fuel tank belonging to a Tornado fighter jet is found mysteriously in an abandoned car park. Who puts an explosive in a car park? They say it's explosive. Who puts a fuel tank from a fighter jet in a car park and leaves it? The Prime Minister has apologised for delays in NHS operations, saying she knows it's difficult, frustrating and disappointing. Bob Higgins, ex-Saints coach, denies child abuse allegations. Former X-Factor winner Sam Bailey knocked out by ladder. Last year's Ronaldo, and it was Ronaldo and Maradona. But Michael Essing's statue may well be the worst of the lot. So, like, judging from that picture, I'd likely agree with him. Now this clip shows a bit of cliff falling. There we go. Swansea prison not fit for purpose after inspection. Murder arrest after boy stabbed in Oxford. Record numbers of NHS 111 calls over festive period. Debenham shares dive after week Christmas trade. House price growth slowed in 2017, saves nationwide. Police are ignoring needs of detainees on periods. Joanna Konta retired injured in the Brisbane International quarter-final less than 2 weeks before Australian Open. Schools should help children with social media risk. Claim Trump aide warned of UK spying absurd, says Tony Blair. Fat Cat Thursday as top bosses pay overtakes UK workers. An operation to raise the wreckage from the Sydney Sea plane crash begins.
I think Jaqen certainly could, but you know that these things always happen in their own time. So I cannot give you a date.
But if I give you the name, could you technically keep it?
Technically, yes. Well, understood. Would Jaqen approve of Arya's new skills? Well, I think he definitely would. She's been pretty successful in season 7, and it's still a point of the training.
Vala?
Lana Drives.
big Game of Thrones fan, sorry.
We need to do the same if we're gonna survive. Because the enemy is real. It's always been. I think Jaqen certainly could, but you know that these things always happen in their own time. So I cannot give you a date.
But if I give you the name, could you technically kill him?
Technically, yes. Farewell, Ayastak. Would Jaqen approve of Arya's new skills? Well, I think he definitely would. She's been pretty successful in season 7, and that's the whole point of training her.
Vala Morghulis.
Vala Dohaeris.
Vala Morghulis, all men must die. Vala Dohaeris, all men must serve. Can't wait for season 8. UK farming needs protection post-Brexit, MPs warn. Corbyn's leader aiding Tories, says Tony Blair. Let's see what new World News has to offer us today. Tibet activist on trial in China after NYT video. White House plans crackdown on legal cannabis. Cannabis has, it's like one of those things, but like when we're talking about it in ethics in college, it's like where we talk about life issues and like terrorism, death penalty, we talked about cannabis. I said cannibal, sorry. If cannabis was legalised here, like it'd bring a lot of money into the country. But it's a bit like, at the same time, it's a bit like the side effects of cannabis, like what would it be? Trump plans to expand offshore drilling in Pacific and Atlantic. Mark Zuckerberg vows to fix Facebook. Afghanistan Kabul suicide attacks kills 11. Russia shoe factory fire leaves workers dead. Why is everything on fire these days? Why? Passers-by shrug as Santa sprays bullets in San Francisco. What's Santa still doing around? No, his time of year has been and gone. Boris Becker's son acts over clearly racist AfD MP tweet. Let's talk of Ivanka Trump being president. So like in 5 things she might bring to with her presidency. But like I'm curious considering her daughter is there, her father is president, her dad is president at the moment. Controversial book about the Trump administration claims to lift the lid on President daughter's secret ambitions. Fire and Fury inside the Trump White House by Michael Wolff alleges that Miss Trump and her husband Jared Kushner struck a deal that she might run for president in future. Well, it's like, I hope she leaves the country in a better place than her dad is leaving it. Pennsylvania man mistakenly arrested and injected with drugs. How do you accidentally arrest someone and give them drugs? Bomb cyclone brings travel chaos and deaths to US Northeast. South Korea. Trump agrees to suspend military drills during the Olympics. He's obviously changed his tune pretty quickly, says US President Donald Trump answers quick questions on his relationship with former aide Stephen Bannon.
I don't know, he called me a great man last night, so he obviously changed his tune pretty quick. Thank you all very much. Thank you. I don't talk, Joe. I don't talk. It's just a misnomer. Thank you. I don't know, he called me a great man last night, so he obviously changed his tune pretty quick. Thank you all very much. Thank you. I don't talk, Joe. I don't talk. It's just a misnomer. Thank you.
You can see me on Word in the background. That's me doing my prep work for a workshop next week. More than 3,300 US flights were cancelled on Thursday as snow blanketed parts of New York and New England as well as eastern Canada. Canadian cannabis grower Aurora heads to Europe. Poland lists child sex offenders online. Norway oil environmentalists lose Arctic exploration case. Trump lawyers seek to halt book's release. Iran protests, US accused of grotesque interference. Turkey Minister Saylu tells police to break drug dealers' legs. Why? Why is there no humanity left? Earthquake wakes San Francisco residents with a tweet from Dave Lee from the BBC, who tweeted, "Oh my god, that earthquake lasted a lifetime." South African train crash, 4 dead in truck collision. Kate Blanchett to chair 2018 Cannes Film Festival jury. Job losses as Fiji bans live coal exports. Australia drugs, backpackers in hospital after snorting white powder. Don't do drugs. Jet Airways grounds pilots after cockpit fight. medicinal cannabis, Australia aims to become top exporter of it. Deadly storm blasts across Europe, killing 3. Japan sumo champion Hiromafuji fined over assault. While a YouTube star shares controversial video from Japan's Aokigahara forest, suicide forest, another woman worked to stop people from taking their lives. No jokes on one line and other things we know about North-South Korea hotline. Trump scrapes his own voter fraud commission. Stuck Canadian moose rescued by snowmobiles. Aww. Cities face surge in online deliveries. From slavery to Italy's fashion world. Zimbabwe hopes to rise from the ashes in 2018. In Yemen, children are hit by a diphtheria outbreak. Dog enjoys beach covered in foam, caused by Storm Eleanor. And there we go, that's today for you.